Oh, look. Another glorious morning. Makes me sick.
Hey guys, so today I am in Salem, Massachusetts, and right behind me is Pioneer Village. This is where they filmed the opening sequences of Hocus Pocus. Unfortunately, this place is closed today, like usual. But if you do go back to my Hocus Pocus video that I made 3 years ago, which I will link down below, you can actually see a couple of videos that I've made inside. I was able to get in, again, 3 years ago, very quickly. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out which cabins were which, but at least you can kind of see inside. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna put the camera over the fence and show you as much as I can. So here's Pioneer Village entrance. They open very few, so it's really hard to get in here. They are open tomorrow, which is Saturday. I think they only open Saturdays and Sundays, so it's really hard. You have to make sure you check out their website for hours and stuff. Like you see right there, open weekends 12 p.m. to 4. But anyways, this is Pioneer Village, as you can see. The very opening scenes of Hocus Pocus, like the aerial shots, were actually shot at a different location, not here. It's about 2 hours from here. It's called Plymouth, which I won't be going to today. But here is where they shot Thackeray Binks's house and Emily's house. You can actually see that house, the one that's in the distance right there. That's the house that you see when Thackeray Binks is talking to Elijah and they're running towards the camera because they see like that pink or purple smoke. That's the house that you see. And so I believe that Thackeray Binks's house and Emily's house is also on this side to the right. So let me see if there's any other way that I could show you guys a little bit more. But yeah, that house is definitely visible. Alright, so now you can kind of see a little better. Now you can't really see, but I believe that one in the middle right there was Thackeray Binks's house. Alright, it's right there, you can clearly see it right there. And then, like I was saying, well, you see Elijah's was in the middle, his was on the right. So yeah, I believe that Thackeray Binks's house is like is this one right here. You can barely see it. And then Elijah's was right next to it over to the left. Such a shame that I can't get in there because you can actually see through the window of Thackeray Binks's house and see the bed and everything where he was lying. I don't know if I should go around and see if I can see anything else. I'll go around too. So here's the back of Pioneer Village. There's another sign here. It says entrance to Pioneer Village is across the bridge next to the ball field. So that's where I was before. So let's see how much we can see. Yeah, we'll just do this. So yeah, I feel like Thackeray Binks's house is one of those over there. It's not much I can show you guys, really. Let me see. Maybe from over here it might be better. I don't know. Nope, not really. Gosh, it's a shame. I wish we could get in there. Let me see if there's anything better on this side. Let me see. Anything here that we could see? I think it might be that one right there, actually. Let's see. Let me zoom in. Does it have a window? If it has a window, I think that might be it. Huh. Let me stand over here. But anyways, once Elijah, oh yeah, you can't really see much of anything, I'm too short. But once Elijah and Thackeray Binks noticed the purple smoke, they run into the woods, and those woods were not actually filmed here, because as you can see, the water's here, and then on the other side there's a baseball park, like, you know, like it says right there, ball field. So you know that those scenes weren't shot here. Well, in case Jimi Hendrix shows up tonight, here's my number. All right, so now I've arrived to Phillips School, which is what it says up there. It says Phillips School, which in the movie is Jacob Bailey High School. They have filmed both daytime and nighttime scenes here. The first time you see the school is when Max comes out and he goes to get his bike. And then you see the school again towards the end of the movie with the witches, and then Max, Dani, and Allison again. So I'm gonna run through all the scenes with you guys. So here it is, Jacob Bailey High School. And as you can see up there, it says Phillips School. I don't know if you guys can read that, but I will get a little closer and go through the scenes with you guys. Okay, so when you first see the school is right after the classroom scene. And just so you guys know, the interior scenes of this place was actually filmed in LA. I actually filmed another video about 3 years ago, and I did go to the LA locations. I never made it to the school because I'm pretty sure it's really hard to get into that classroom where they filmed, but that all filmed in Whittier, California. So right here, this is where the name Jacob Bailey High School was, in the arch. And then right here in the center black area where the box is, that's where a clock was. So the scene opens up here and it kind of pans down and then shows doors. And when they open up, you can actually see the stairs. Yeah, all that still looks exactly the same. You can actually see them coming down the stairs. So yeah, so when the doors open up, the kids come out, and you can see what looks like two teachers, and above their heads is silly string thrown. And then Max comes out and walks over to his bike and unlocks it. So when he goes to unlock his bike, the angle is right about here, where you can notice all three windows. Of course, this was not broken like it is now, so we're gonna move over a little bit so it doesn't look. So like right about here was the bike rack, and he's unlocking his bike. You can notice all three windows and this building right here, and particularly that window, which in real life that is a funeral home, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, so this is the angle that you see when he unlocks his bike. So once Max gets to his bike, he goes to catch up with Allison here at the park. And as they are walking, you can actually notice this fence. The camera goes behind the fence at some point, and you can see them talking. So he catches up with her because he thought he embarrassed her in class, and she's like, you didn't. So once he catches up to her, they start to talk, and they talk in this area over here. A lot has changed, but there's two things that still remain in the same spot, and I'll show you. So right about here, this is where the scene opens up, where you can see the school in the background, the basketball hoop. You'll notice these a few times. You'll see two big trees, which are no longer here. And when she finally stops to talk to Max, is right by a bench, which is coming up. So let me speed up a little bit. So right about here is where she stops, where you notice this beautiful tree that was right here, and the bench. You can see the school in the background and the hoop. And then after that, the camera goes on this side, and you can see Max and Allison talking. All right, so when Allison and Max stop to talk, they're standing right about here. You can notice the basketball hoop over her head a few times, and the school. So when she's talking, that's what you see. And as Max is talking, you can actually see this yellow building right behind him in the distance. So I would think they were like right about here or so. But you know, she's talking to him about moving here and how he doesn't like it because he's not into the whole Halloween, and he's like, especially not on Halloween. And that's when she says trick or treat and hands him back his phone number, and then walks away right down this way.
Halloween stuff.
You don't believe in it?
What do you mean, like the Sanderson sisters? No way.
Not even on Halloween?
Especially not on Halloween.
Trick or treat?
And the building that I was noticing was this one over here to her right. It was actually gray back then, I think. But yeah, that is the building that you notice as she walks away and puts on her hoodie. And the next time you see the school is at night, and it's when the witches arrive. And they are looking at the school, so technically, hold on. So like I was saying, the next time you see the school is at night, and it's when the three witches arrive, and they're looking like right about here or so. They're looking in the building, and Winifred says, "It is a prison for children." And then everything happens inside, which I'm pretty sure that was all filmed in a studio. And it's when the kids try to burn the witches inside, and you'll see the smoke up there, the green smoke. But eventually it goes back in, the witches are alive again. But before they come back to life, the kids start to celebrate right in front of the school here in the street. So let me show you where that is. So I believe they were throwing leaves in the air, and that all happened right about here. And there, it's Dani, Max, and Allison celebrating. Farewell, citizen! So basically that's what they were doing. They were kind of celebrating over there. I look pretty silly, I'm sure. So a big green smoke appears right above the building right here. And then the camera pans down and shows the kids celebrating their victory because they just killed the Sanderson sisters. And in the shot, right here, they're twirling and dancing, and leaves are blowing, which makes it almost seem like, you know, confetti. And they actually placed 2 light poles on this side, 2 really beautiful ones on each side. And then as they're done, they walk off to a park. And in reality, that park is not really here. This is a different park. This is the park where they filmed the scenes after Max comes out of school. So a fun fact for you guys, when the kids go running off after they've celebrated in front of the school and they're seen at a park, that is actually the WB Ranch in California, where they filmed the opening credits of Friends. So that fountain that you see behind Dani and Allison at some point, that's the Friends fountain. And a house that you see directly, I think, behind Dani at some point, that is the house from the movie American Beauty, starring Thora Birch. So how cool is that? So welcome to beautiful Marblehead. What's really crazy is that Max is on his way home on his bike, and he cuts through what looks like downtown Salem, and then the cemetery, and to his house. All those are in 3 different places. Well, the town and the cemetery are right here in Marblehead, but the house is not even close to here at all. So that was a really big trek that Max took. But this is what they used as downtown Salem. It's really pretty here. So after Max gets rejected by Allison, he hops on his bike and starts heading home. He's actually seen riding his bike through what seems like downtown Salem. The first road, I don't know where it is, but the second road he takes is right behind us. And you can actually see the name bus stop on a building, which is actually there. I looked for this place for so long and I never found it. And not too long ago, my boyfriend's like, why don't you just Google bus stop to see if that's an actual place? And it is. Look how beautiful. All right, so here's the intersection where Max is seen driving down his bike. So he's actually coming from that direction right here. And you can see clear as day the bus stop, which is a store, and he goes right down this direction. Also, another thing I was noticing is that you can actually see a do not enter sign in that scene. That really quick shot, you can actually see it. You have no idea, like for me, this, I don't know why, but this was always something that I wanted to see in person. I'm so glad I'm here. And look at this. Look how freaking cool is this? Now tell me it's not meant to be. Yay, Marblehead. Beautiful town, by the way. I'm actually gonna go in there just because. So as Max is heading home on his bike, he takes a shortcut through what looks like downtown and then through a cemetery. And that is exactly where I am right now. Welcome to Old Burial Hill, which was actually the same name in the movie. If you look up one of the cemetery scenes with the Sanderson sisters, and I believe Sarah's hanging on the gate, it actually does say Old Burial Hill. So that's pretty cool. So this is the actual tombstone that you see when Max takes a turn and he's on his bike. He actually comes from behind the tombstone through this side to the left side of me and up the hill, where you can actually see the gazebo up there. Pretty cool. The same tombstone. So cool. So as Max takes the corner, the first thing you see is this tombstone right here, which in reality, it's the exact same one from the movie, which is so cool. Yeah, so he comes from over here and goes around this way and right behind the tombstone and up the hill. And as he's going up the hill, you can actually see that gazebo up there. All right, and here's where they filmed the famous cemetery scene with Jay and Ice and Max. I'm still trying to figure out exactly. Even the first time I came, I was still a little mixed up, but the easiest way to find it is by finding where Jay was standing, which which he was standing right over there on top of that right there. So then after that, you just kind of have to figure out where Max was. Halt! Who are you?
Who are you?
Max.
Max.
Just moved here.
Just moved here.
From where?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles? LA? Oh, dude!
Oh, dude.
Tubular! That happened all right here, guys. Alright, so this is where the famous scene with Jay and Ernie, better known as Ice, and Max. Max was actually standing right behind this tombstone right here, right over here, where he stops. You know, when he comes around with the bike, he stops right about there. Jay was standing on top of that white, I'm not really sure, platform right there, and then Ernie was standing right next to him. And eventually Jay stands up. I guess he was crouched down. He stands up, and that's when he yells, "Halt! Who are you?" And then that whole sequence. You can actually notice that rock formation right there as well as that sidewalk right where that lady's walking. And then right about this area here, this is where probably Max lost his shoes. And you can actually notice this tombstone in the shot. You see that right there? You can actually see that, I believe, next to him. And then here's where Jay was standing when he told Max to halt. And Ernie, Ice, was standing right next to him. There's also some shots from this angle where you can see, I believe is, let me see, I think it's this huge tombstone right here, and you can see this white one right next to Max. I'll double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that it's that one right there. So yeah, I was right. So when Max is talking to Jay and Ice, and he's explaining where he's from, you know, LA, Omri is actually standing right next to this tombstone, and you can see how massive it is. It actually goes over his head, and he's standing like right about here. And you can notice this white tombstone and this one right here. I think you can also see this in the background at some point. But yeah, this is where Max was standing when he's talking to Jay and Ice. So if I have the footage, I'm going to put it right here. So I came up to this because there's a part where he drives up, like towards that end of that scene, he drives up the little hill. And when he looks out, there's a pointy building, like a really pointy building, and some houses. The only houses that look similar to that shot are those, but there's no pointy building there. So the only pointy buildings are these, and these are part of the, like, of the cemetery, not like looking out in the distance. So, but I don't see anything. So I don't think he, at that point when the camera pans over his shoulders, I don't think it was shot here, just because of the buildings around. Like, there's no pointy looking building like that around. All right, the last time that I was here, I had a really hard time trying to figure out where that scene was when Max looks over the city and he can see all of Salem and that beautiful tower. That's nowhere here, nowhere near here. Last time I was like, I looked at all my corners, I checked everything, and there's nothing like it here. And I couldn't figure out where that was filmed. But now I know exactly where that is, and we're heading there right now. All right, guys, so now I'm in Crocker Park, and I cannot tell you how happy I am to be here. So the first time I made this video and I was at the cemetery, I was like, what the heck? Because when Max, after he gets his shoes stolen, he rides off his bike and he goes up these big rocks, and then he looks over at the city of Salem, or what is supposed to be Salem. It's actually Marblehead. I had no idea where that spot was. I never was able to find it. But thanks to a few YouTubers that have mentioned this park, I am finally here. So thank you to those who have mentioned it. So I'm gonna show you. It's a really quick shot, but as soon as his shoes were stolen, he goes up what I think is one of these rocks over here, and then stares off into Salem. And I'll show you this beautiful view from here. So I may not be completely accurate here, but at first I believe you see Max riding his bike, and you see this rock right next to him, and then he keeps going. They kind of show it from the ground, but then he goes over these two rocks here, and he kind of stops right in front of this one, I believe, and looks over at this beautiful view. This is the view that I was never able to find before, with that distinctive, I believe it's a clock tower. I'm not sure if that's a church or whatever, but it is a clock tower, and it's just gorgeous. And I believe you can see this house right here, and there's a few others that are very noticeable. But yeah, this is the shot right here. I think I'm gonna back up because I might have been a different angle than what I just showed you guys. It's hard to recreate this scene because the camera's down low and they're showing the bicycle, and then at some point they show him going over these rocks here, and then those, and then he stops to look at this beautiful view, and then the camera pans over to his face. He takes off his hat and shows his face of frustration. Check out this amazing view. Man, that is beautiful. So right now, I'm standing right in front of Max and Dani's house. This is so beautiful. I love this area. This is probably one of my favorite locations. Every time I come here, I just want to stare at the house for hours and see if maybe the owners will come out and I can ask them some questions. But I've been here many, many times now, and it's just always like, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just awesome. All right, so after Max goes through the cemetery and gets his shoes stolen, he arrives at his house right here, and his parents notice that he's not wearing any shoes. All right, so the scene opens up right over here, and you can see Max coming down the hill in his bike, and he goes down here and stops right about here. There wasn't a tree in the shot, so I guess that tree was maybe planted afterwards. But there's several scenes. That would be the first one when you see the house. There's also a couple of night scenes that filmed here. Alright, so another scene is towards the end of the movie, and it's when Max and Allison are up in Max's room and they open up the book, and when they do that, a beacon of light shines through the window, and the witches that are back at their house can see it from afar, so they come and they sneak on them And eventually there's a big explosion that happens and the witches fly away from here. Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of magic. So right about here, this is the angle when you can hear Sarah singing "Come Little Children," and the kids are walking in a trance, and they're all standing right here on the street walking towards the camera, and you can actually see the glare of the water onto the left, and you can notice this wall right here, as well as them walking this way when Max and Allison reverse in the car and drive off that way. It's so pretty. Look at that view. So pretty. So peaceful right now that there's like nobody here. So after the trick-or-treating scenes, which were actually not filmed here in Salem, they were actually filmed in Whittier, California, but right after that scene, and Max and Dani ran into the bullies, you know, Jay and Ernie, Dani gets really upset and says, "I want to go home now." And when she says that, they actually walk right up to this house, which is actually Allison's house in the movie. They had no idea that they were standing right in front of Max Crush's house. So I'm gonna try to do my best because there's actually 2 guys working right now in the house. So let's see how much I can show you guys. All right, so here's the house. This is actually called Rope's Mansion, which was built in, let me see, I'm trying to see the sign over there. I don't know if you guys could see it. What did that say? Oh, it's hard to see it from here. Anyways, I'll tell you guys in a minute, but you can actually tour this house, and they have beautiful grounds. You can also tour the backyard. It's actually really beautiful. They have beautiful landscaping back there and flowers and all that stuff. But here's the house from here. Like I said, these 2 gentlemen are working on the house, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to show you guys. But I'll ask them and see what happens. Right about here where I'm sitting, I'm not really sure if this is the exact spot, but this is where Dani would have thrown herself on the hay, and she's like super upset. Yeah, so like right in this area, and she's talking to Max, and they're talking about, you know, how he needs to get over it because this is where they live now. But yeah, this is it right here. Okay, so right here in this general area right here, this is where all the bale of hay was, and this is where Dani throws herself. So she would have been sitting like right about here or so, and then when Max joins her, he's sitting in this area right here. You can notice the window in the background as well as the fence. Yeah, it would have been like right about here. And then when they stand up, they're right where the lady was actually. They were standing right about there, but facing the house and are admiring it. Wow, check out this house. Rich people. They probably make us drink cider or bob for apples. So it's right about here that they were standing when they're admiring the house and they're looking at it. And then they walk inside and find out that Allison is inside. And just so you guys know that they did not film inside of this house. Fun fact, the house that they use, the interiors of this house, is the same interiors from Catch Me If You Can and Scream 2. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, like I said, the interiors were not shot here. And also, something that may look different, there was a lot of pumpkins too and hay on both sides. So it's gonna look a little different. All right, and right behind me here at Town Hall, this is where Allison, Dani, and Max come to convince their parents that the witches are real and they're gonna eat all the kids in Salem.
Great. How are we ever gonna find Mom and Dad in this place? Great. How are we ever gonna find Mom and Dad in this place?
Right in the next scene is actually, the angle is right about here. They've actually changed the door. It used to be white, I believe. They've painted it like this dark green now. But yeah, the doors are wide open and there's a Mad Hatter and a witch standing over here, or two people dressed as a Mad Hatter and a witch. And Allison, Max, and Dani walk right in, and then you see Max as he's walking up the stairs. You see him right about here, right about there is where you see his face. And then, in case you're wondering, know that they not filmed inside of here, that those scenes were shot in California. Very sad. Last time they had Hocus Pocus stickers on here, and now they don't have them anymore. But anyways, that was shot right here. Of course, you can't come to Salem without visiting Bewitched. Alright guys, so this is the end of the video. I thought this would be a perfect time to come out with another Hocus Pocus video since Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out so soon. Who's excited? I am so excited. Hocus Pocus has always been one of my favorite movies. I can quote that movie from beginning to end. I'm pretty obnoxious actually if you watch it with me. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a like, subscribe, and don't forget to check out my Instagram accounts for all the comparison shots. I hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you guys next time on my next filming location or wherever the sun takes me. Bye!